What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Joining me this week is an individual that has found a great deal of success in the sport of professional wrestling. He is also finding that same type of success or looking to reach that same type of success in the music business. This is the one and only Lio Rush. Lio, what's going on, boss man? How you feeling?
What's up, man? How you doing? I appreciate you for having me on, man.
Now, I appreciate you taking the time. Now, of course, we're here to promote your EP, Not Found 2, like it's releasing on June 24th. Talk to me about like the anticipation of it, like you as an artist being able to be like, okay, we got it done. I'm not gonna change nothing. This is it right here. This is the final product. Like, how exciting is that whole process? Of course, doing the media going into it, and now it's just the anticipation part of it, and of course, waiting to see the amount of feedback that you're gonna get from this EP.
Yeah, it's quite the journey, man. It's me experiencing the wrestling industry, how I did in certain things and processes throughout to, get to the point where I got. Um, this feels like such a delicate thing.
Mm.
It feels like my child because this is something that I've created, and these are my words that I'm putting out into the world and into the atmosphere. So I feel like I want it to be the best representation of myself as an artist and as a human being and as a person in general. So it's definitely nerve-wracking, but it's an exciting thing. Trying to boil down, EP to 5 tracks was stressful, but I like it. I like it. It always feels like a certain part of the season or a certain part of the year, doing these releases and these projects, and it definitely feels like it's that time right now. I feel the butterflies. But I'm super excited to see, what comes from it. This is my first project that I'm putting out with a team kind of backing me with my new label that I got signed with, Thump Records, with this deal with Virgin and Universal. So I'm super pumped to see what comes from it.
Now your Not Found One project that you released in September 2021. Like, talk to me about some of the differences between going into that project and going to this one. Like, do you feel like maybe with the first one it was maybe a thing of like you were experimenting with maybe some new sounds, and then like with this one you still bringing something new and something fresh, but it has that like sort of like for example like a Lio Rush stamp to it, like in relation to the first project.
No, for sure. I think that Not Found One, it was definitely a lot of me finding my sound. I've done a couple of projects before that, but I feel like that was just kind of, throwing stuff to the wall and seeing what sticks, and seeing what people like, trying out different genres, trying out different ranges within my voice and my tone and stuff like that. So I think Not Found One was more so figuring out who I was as an artist and what I sound like, that trademark sound
Mm.
that everybody will listen to and be like, okay, this is clearly Lio Rush. I didn't want to sound like anybody else. So um, yeah, I think Not Found 2 has a lot more confidence and belief in myself, knowing who I am as a person, as an artist, being, comfortable and confident in my sound and my approach to just everything. So I definitely think those are some differences. Not Found One was me kind of figuring it out, and Not Found Two is bringing some things together with a little bit more like confidence. So that's what I would say.
I always think it's cool when I see wrestlers sort of venturing into other fields and other genres and stuff, like, because I'm pretty sure, as it's like that people on the outside have a certain stigma about professional wrestling. Like, it's like this weird thing with honestly, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't see it any differently than a reality TV star venturing into something else. And like, but regardless of that, how important for you is it as an individual to like, find yourself in the music business and, also represent professional wrestling, being in both and sort of blending the two?
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing. Like you said, wrestling has
Yeah.
that weird stigma, that weird thing surrounding itself, and I get it. Maybe I get it, but I don't get it at the same time.
I
With
know,
me
right?
being such a fan of movies, I mean, I love movies. I love movies, and I feel like wrestling is very similar to movies. It's like you're watching a live movie. You know, nothing is edited, nothing is uh, there's no crazy, you know, explosions mid match. I mean, sometimes there are crazy explosions mid
Right.
match and stuff like that. But I like being a musician and I like being a wrestler and I like merging the two together. And I feel confident and comfortable with how I'm doing that and just the overall approach that I'm taking to kind of break that stigma a little bit. Even with, you know, the stigma of wrestlers doing music, there's a weird you know,
Yeah.
thing around that, surrounding that as well. So um, I enjoy it, and I think when people find out, you know, because it's not like I go to places and I'm like screaming out that I'm a professional wrestler.
Right.
But I think it becomes a little more believable when I say that I'm a musician and people are like, oh yeah, yeah, and they start asking me about my music, but then I also say I'm a professional wrestler, and everybody's like, oh shit, you're a
Mhm.
wrestler, you know. So I like it because I feel like, you know, at some point in everybody's lives, they were a wrestling fan. Even if it's
Yeah.
not now, I feel like they were a wrestling fan back in the day. So it's always a cool thing to you know, have someone have that, you know, shocking reaction to the fact that I'm a wrestler. And then when they listen to my music, it's like, oh man, you don't even sound like you wrestle. Like you just sound like you make music. So it's pretty dope. I like the feeling.
Leo, you want to know something funny about what you just said? Like, when you talk about people like being shocked, like that you're a wrestler when you blend that into the music space. Like, I'm not the only person that says this. I know everybody says this, and like, but I'm telling you, Black people love professional wrestling. I'm telling you, always have,
Yeah.
always will. I'm like, but see, the thing is, like, even I got friends that like they don't pay attention to wrestling, but like they'll keep up with some stuff out of curiosity and like a link to me in a certain way. And I've always said this. I'm telling you, like there is a space, like a whole different audience out there, man, for like that's just full of Black people, man, that would love to just further dive into it a little bit. But I also think it's a combination of them needing to see people that look like them, and also like it's that same stigma that people may think that wrestling isn't quote unquote cool, or however they feel about it, or whatever reason they feel about wrestling that they feel. But like that stigma, man, I've never understood that. Like I personally don't get it, but yeah, like that sentiment, man. Like I just mentioned, like I'm sorry, Black people love professional wrestling. I'm telling you, we always have, we always will. So
No,
that's
for sure. No, I know, bro. I know. I'm glad that, you know, like you said, they need to see people that look like them. And I feel like you know, even when I was a fan of wrestling, there was nobody who looked like me.
mm,
There's nobody who looked like me. And I feel like um, you know, I've become, you know, kind of a face or someone of some kind of, you know,
representation. Yeah.
values in the wrestling industry and in that community, in the Black community, of like, man, Leo looks just like us. Like,
Mm,
I feel like I went to high school with Leo, you
mm,
know, stuff like that. Like I'll get that stuff all the time. Um, and I dig it. I like the fact that, you know, people you know, look at me in that way as, you know, some sort of like representation for them within the wrestling industry. And yeah, I'm looking to break that stigma. You know, I never really understood it. I mean,
yeah.
I get it because, you know, some wrestling and music things haven't always been like the best product put out. Um, but I definitely think it laid the groundwork for people like me to be able to, you know, do it and do it in a way that nobody's ever, you know, done it before. And I definitely feel like I'm well on my way. So I'm super excited.
And that representation is, it really is important. I would say, especially over the last, like I would say, like 8 to 9 years in professional wrestling, because like, you know, we got the social media now, so like I mean, it's a lot of more people are on it, and like you start to see certain. I'm not gonna say certain wrestlers, but you start to see people's real personalities and talking about wrestlers and like their political beliefs and, what they think about certain stuff. And like that, it strips away that whole other thing that was once there when we all grew up as wrestling fans. And you start to have different views of certain people once you see their, like once you see their beliefs and what they, and it really doesn't align with yours. So that's why I definitely think that representation is 100% important, and is more important now than it ever has been. So yeah, I think that's cool that you sort of had that same mindset. But like, I know you're doing some work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, man. I think honestly, it would be kind of cool if they were to use like one of your songs for like one of the strong specials on Fight, like as a backdrop theme, like for like the entire special. I think that'd be cool, because I always like when there's a active wrestler on the roster who does music. And like you would think that, maybe the company or the promotion would sort of lean in towards that a little bit and like sort of keeping it house opposed to looking for outside. So I think that'd be a cool thing if they would line something up like that.
No, I definitely think that would be cool, and that's something that I'm looking to make happen.
Uh-oh.
I want
Uh-oh.
my music to I want my music to help my wrestling career, and I want my wrestling career to help my music career, because it's all me and it's all things that I love and enjoy doing. And even with the relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, they've been so open and willing to allow me to continue to do the things that I do, outside of wrestling, and I'm super grateful for that, even doing my own entrance music, and always, pushing out my own vignettes and promos, and them showing them on their big screens at the shows and stuff like that. So they've always been super supportive with what I'm doing, to build my stock value and my name value, and in hopes, adding and bringing something a little bit different to the table with New Japan. And I definitely feel like I bring something different to the table with New Japan, and I can see it growing into something special. So yeah, that's a great idea, and that's something that I'm looking to try to make happen for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. But Leo, I know you have spoken at length about your time at WWE and your overall time there. But like one thing I've really been interested to hear you speak on was that run in 205 Live. Like I feel like that core that you guys had at that time, man. You, Cedric, Buddy, Ali, Gulak, the Lucha House Party, Angel Garza, and Humberto. Like y'all had like a legit like group of like top flight talents, man. But it just seemed like the company, they sort of treated y'all like in the same vein that they treat NXT UK. It's like, yeah, they're this WWE, but it's like that's not WWE. And like with the lack of promotion and stuff, like did you guys ever have that internal conversation amongst yourselves of like, man, like if they just put the machine behind us, if they maybe take us like put us before SmackDown, and like we don't get the burnt out crowd, or like did y'all ever had those conversations, man? Because legit, like no bullshit, that was like probably one of my favorite in-ring products behind within the WWE company, behind NXT and probably SmackDown, because like it was like I would say at least one match a week, and all the matches were good, but it was like at least one match a week that was like a banger, like on 205 Live. It's like, did y'all ever had those conversations amongst each other, man? Like, man, dude, if they just got behind us, like this would be like a legit like competition as far as the in-ring product goes amongst, in comparison to what else they got.
Yeah, we'd have conversations like that all the time. You know, almost every taping, we'd have that conversation amongst ourselves, and even not even just amongst ourselves, even with people within the company. And I think just hearing you talk about it, man, it sounds like you were in the locker room with us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was just that clear. I think it was that clear to everybody. You could see like, and just feel like the frustration with all of the guys, because we were going out there and putting on a show, and
Yes, bro.
really trying to make a name for ourselves. And I definitely feel like we trusted each other too. So it kind of felt like a brotherhood. Like, it wasn't that many people. You got Raw, you got SmackDown, you got NXT, rosters of people, 30, 40, 50 plus, 60 plus. But you know, with 205 Live, you know, you only had those core amount of guys, and it felt like we had each other's back. So that was definitely a special time for sure.
It's crazy because like I feel like the solution was like so simple in terms of like firstly the promotion. Like this is a $1 billion company. Like just put the steam behind it. And number two, stop giving them like the dead crowds. Like the crowd literally, they just had to watch a dark match, right? They got to watch 2 hours of SmackDown. Then you telling them, hey, if you want to see, and I'm just naming people, but like, hey, if you want to see a John Cena or Randy Orton, you got to stay and watch this 205 Live show, and then you can see them afterwards. And then you, first of all, you just making people like, okay, I guess we gotta wait until we see this person. You know, not for some real shit though. Like that's basically what's happening because you essentially forcing these people to sit here and watch a show. But if you put steam behind it and you build them up and you show you guys on other shows like how they sort of were when the cruiserweight division first returned, like honestly, I feel like it would have held better if they would have just like not slided y'all just in this one position. Like you can challenge for the Intercontinental title. That's perfectly okay. Pat can do this. Cedric can do this. Whoever can do this. Like, I feel like it would have just, I feel like they had something real unique on their hands coming out of the Cruiserweight Classic. And it just like, it was good at first, man, but then they sort of lost sight of it, man. But like, y'all definitely had, like, I know I'm not the only one because I see people talking about this all the time on Twitter, man. Y'all definitely had like a fan base, like a people that was like on the same wavelength as what we talking about.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was definitely a fun time. We worked hard. We worked hard. We were proud of that groundwork that we laid. But yeah, man, it was a fun time for sure. It
Yeah,
was short lived.
yeah, it was.
It
Yeah,
was short lived, but it was fun, definitely.
and say I remember you had that fatal 5-way. I think it was in DC when you had the crowd going crazy for you when they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
announced you from the city. But like, oh, speaking on that, DC sort of like Maryland area. Like I know you came out of MCW. Talk to me about your relationship with Dan McDevitt, man, and basically how the impact that MCW has had on your professional wrestling career.
Yeah, I definitely feel like if I didn't train at MCW, I wouldn't have gotten where I got as quickly as I did. I
Mm.
feel like the trainers there, they cared so much about their students, and they spent, you know, they didn't just focus on the in-ring stuff, like the moves or anything like that, you know, teaching us, you know, wrestling etiquette
Mm.
and teaching us how to move in a business sense, you know, as an independent contractor in the wrestling world. And just some smart people that have, you know, been around the industry for so long and have done it the right way, and have made, you know, money doing it consistently. And you know, that's you know what I wanted for me. Those are the people that I wanted training me, and I'm glad that I had that foundation of kind of, you know, business like, you know, old school
Mm.
wrestling mentality, you know, caring about the selling, caring about, you know, the overall presentation when it came to the entrance, to commentary, to promos. You know, I feel like the focus was all over. So it was cool being there for sure.
Whenever I interview somebody that went through MCW or spent a great deal of time there pre a couple years ago, like I always asked them about the late RJ Meyer because I always said I've heard Dan McDevitt speak about him highly, man. I've heard Khan and Moses speak highly of him, man. Like so, and like a variety of other different people. Like talk to me from your experiences with RJ, man. Like why it seems like everybody was so connected to him, man, and like he seemed to have this just positive impact on everybody that he came across. And I even heard from Khan when I interviewed him, he was like, RJ was a stern trainer, but like that dude to give you like this clothes off his back if he could.
No, really. RJ was one of those people who has been through hell and back, um, gone through so much in his life, made, you know, a lot of mistakes, learned, grew from those mistakes, and to become like a better man for his family.
Mm.
And with me being a family man and having kids of my own, he was a stern trainer. He was hard. He was he did not care if you were in pain. He did not care if you had something to do before or after training. When you were in training, when you were in class, you were in class, and you better not talk about anything else other than wrestling. But no, he was such a good dude, and like you said, one of those people that'll just give you uh, his shirt off of his back. I was going through so many things, as a teenager, as a teenage dad, and trying to pursue a wrestling career. And there were times, almost all the time, I was spending so much time at wrestling school and not being home, like with my family,
Mm.
putting that energy and that time into me so I can, accomplish what I needed to accomplish in order to provide for my family. And it was hard. But I feel like RJ was there for me, not just uh, in a wrestling sense, but he kind of felt like a second dad in a way. He took care of us, and
Mm.
definitely somebody who molded me as helped shape me as a performer, as an in-ring competitor, as a man, as a businessman, all around. So such a shame that he passed so young, but
Yeah.
a blessing for sure that he touched not just my life, but so many other people's lives. And I'm sure you'll hear similar stories
Yeah.
about RJ. So yeah,
How much did it mean to you to win the Rage TV title at his tribute show?
that was that. Yeah, that was amazing. RJ held that title so many times. He was like the Maryland hero. He was like the Maryland legend, literally like a Maryland legend. So
He was
it was
synonymous with that
cool to
title,
be
right?
able to win that title kind of in honor of him. So
Mm. They say he was synonymous with that title, right? Like that was like his thing.
yeah.
That's
That
what's
was
up.
him. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Like, but to some, this will piggyback off something you just said. Talk to me about like how fatherhood sort of changed your direction and sort of shifted your focus. Because I think it was, we all know, pre-kid, that's, it's all about the individual, all about yourself. But then now you're trying to balance, trying to chase after this career on top of having a newborn into this world, man. Talk to me about how your focus changed, how that sort of changed your attitude towards things, and essentially changed your aspect on life. Because now you got another person that you got to take care of.
Yeah, as a kid, I definitely feel like I was on a different path than a lot of people around my age.
Mm.
Um, and it was very confusing to people. I feel like the way that I was moving was different. It wasn't the way that a normal 18, 19-year-old should move. And I was always about my business. I was always about getting in, getting out, and going back home to my family. I didn't like messing around or going to parties or stuff like that. Like after the shows or hanging out much. I wasn't really one of those people who hung out with the boys. After the show.
Mm.
I was always getting back home to my family. So I think it definitely put some fuel in the tank when it came to staying persistent with um, making short-term goals and going after those and accomplishing them and just staying on track. I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't just doing it for me. I was doing it for my people back at home. So
Right.
uh, yeah, I love the fact that I was a teenage dad. Not
Mm.
recommending it to anybody out there, but for me, I feel like I needed something like that because as a teenager, I was all over the place and hanging around sometimes the wrong crowds or being influenced by certain things that probably would have ended me up in jail or dead. So I feel like me having a kid kind of made me stop thinking about myself and, like you said, put the focus on somebody else, and uh, it just motivated me, and it changed me ever since. You know, I'm almost 30 years old now, which is crazy. Uh, but I feel mentally, I feel even older than that because I've just gone through and experienced so many things like in life so far. And I think uh, being a father at a young age definitely um, took me in a route that helped me succeed in life so quickly.
Yeah, so as you was talking, man, you was talking about like, progressing in life and all and that like something had literally just came to my mind. Like I had jotted down some notes and stuff that I wanted to ask you, but like this literally just popped up. Like what was it like to reunite or to link up with Tenille Dashwood at the I think it was at a Comic Con, or not at Comic Con, but like a meet and greet or something like that. Because it was cool to see that, man. Because I think I'm both of you had spoken about it. It got spoken about years ago, but like it was cool to see you guys get together, man, and to just show the progression of you two as individuals as well. I think that was real cool.
Yeah, yeah. That was cool. That was a really cool moment, and I'm glad that it happened. And I feel like so much has happened since then.
Yeah.
So both of us talking about it and um, not really laughing on the situation, but
Right.
just thinking back on how crazy it was and how it changed my career. Not so much changing, her career,
Mm.
but just seeing what transpired from it, and me growing as an individual, and seeing how I could have said or not said or approached things differently. I, th- I like growing and changing for the better.
Yeah, man.
I never want to um, have the same mentality that I had, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So it was cool that I saw her, and as soon as I did, I walked up to her. We had a chat, and later on in the day, we took a picture, and I'm glad that moment happened. Definitely one for the books for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. But circling back around to the music, you did say you are signed to Universal Music Group. Talk to me about how exciting that is, man, and just a link to the hard work that you put in to be signed, to a brand like that is very well known, and to be associated with this band, to have them promote you going forward.
Yeah, it's super cool. I never thought that I would be in the position that I'm in now with my
Mhm.
music. Music wasn't even, the first thing on my mind or something that I wanted to do growing up. It just kind of happened. So for me to end up with my first deal, and I know a lot of people's first deals that are not good first deals, but I'm glad that I was able to build this relationship with Thump and Virgin and Universal, and put out uh, this project that I'm super excited about, and being able to kind of piggyback off of a project that I put out independently
Yeah.
makes it that much better. I feel like with people listening to Not Found 2, it'll make them want to listen to Not Found 1. And I am looking forward to people listening to the growth throughout both projects, and kind of bringing them both together as kind of one album, like a Not Found album. So um, yeah, it's pretty cool that I'm in the spot that I'm in today.
Hey, Leo, do you think it's more like in terms of being an independent artist? Do you think it's more rewarding when you see the benefits, but definitely more tasking as an individual artist? Like, do you think that's sort of in line right there?
No, for sure. I think raising the bar, uh, you know, on myself, and putting that pressure on me to do better. I'm looking forward to seeing what the reaction will be from the project.
Mhm.
Uh, but I mean, you better believe as soon as it's out, I'm already working on the album. So
Mm.
I I like the pressure that I put on myself, and with every project, I try to raise the bar a little bit more. I want the next project to be better than the last. So um, yeah, it's stressful, but I would much rather enjoy going through stressful things that I put myself through than
Right.
stressful things that I'm dealing from other people. So yeah, it's cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But we talked about the music, man. We talked about pro wrestling. Now it's time to talk about something that I've been waiting to talk to you about for a long time, Leo. MTV's The Challenge. That man, if I had to like legit sit down and think about it, I would say that's probably like my top 3 favorite shows that has ever existed. Like I can't even tell you the amount of time. Like, I've probably seen at least 14, 13 probably straight seasons of the challenge, man. I love that show. But like that definitely want to commend you for opening up on, why you decided to leave, man. And it was very cool to see the reaction from the castmates and the official MTV social pages, showing you love once you decided to leave. But man, like if the opportunity was presented to maybe go on one of their affiliate shows, like they now have the CBS challenge show, like, and that's based in the US. So like if just for hypothetical sake, but like if they were to be like, hey, you want to come do this, would you be more inclined to do that opposed to like going to another country for 3 or 4 months, and opposed to being stateside? Do you think that would be something you would be more inclined to do, or at least interested in doing?
I don't mind so much about the traveling
Hmm.
and being in a different country. I feel like I've definitely become accustomed
Oh yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just being in a different location. But I'd love to do it again. I think in my case with leaving for uh, my mental health reasons and dealing with um, the struggles that I go through on a day to day, with the added stress of being away from my wife when she was pregnant, and
Right.
it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, and I think being in that environment had some past triggering things that came up that I wasn't ready or wasn't really willing to go through on camera.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I had to step away before it reached the point of, pretty much no return. So I'm glad that I stepped away. But, if another opportunity came, I definitely think my approach will be a lot different. Knowing what the show is now, and how to navigate and handle, the struggles within that kind of environment. But just wanting to, go out there and do it again, test myself again, and try to beat somebody up in some of these challenges. But yeah, I'd for sure take another opportunity with MTV if it came.
Yeah, that's what I meant to add at the end of that question. I was like, I had thought about it, like once I said, I was like, man, this man, he world traveled. He'd have been around the world before, but that's why I was like, it's probably a thing, like you mentioned, to just being away from your family that long, and of course all the other circumstances, man. That's a lot to take in. But you and Gabby, y'all were actually like a real good team, man. Y'all was like 6 weeks, 6 weeks strong, no elimination. Like, oh, y'all was in the game for 6 straight weeks, and you had that the wrestling match that they showed with Kyle. I think it was like one of the cut scenes, but hands
Yeah.
down, I think your shining moment, man, of the challenge. Like this is your star making moment right here, was when you had that mission on the truck, when you had to throw the other person off the thing. And you had to go up against the real. And for anybody that don't know, the real big dude, big stocky dude,
Yeah.
right? But this is the great thing about it. I made sure I had to write this down. I had to go hawk this quote down that he said. But he was like, this was after him and Leo this was after him and you had the had the wrestling match, and it went to a draw. But he was like, I got Leo to the edge, and all of a sudden, this motherfucker did some Sonic the Hedgehog move. He's very technical. he's very technical. He knows what he's doing. It's a lot harder than I thought it was. And then on the pre-match thing before it got started, he was like, I know Leo is a wrestler. He was like, I ain't scared of him. I ain't saying I'm scared, but like I can't sleep on him. Like that's essentially what he was saying. And like
Yeah.
when you got the once y'all finished and it went to a time limit draw, I remember I was looking at the TV. I was like, that's right, Leo. That's what I'm talking about. Hold your own, Leo. Hold your own, Leo. Hold your own, Leo. But no, it was cool though, man, because it was like, first of all, it was cool that, you know, the real, because he's been on the challenge forever. So it was real cool to see that he wasn't like trying to be funny or nothing like that. Like he knew you was legit. And like, if you go and watch the footage, I think it's on MTV YouTube, anybody go watch it. But like, he tried to like roughhouse you a little bit at first, but you was just like moving around. Then you got him on the ground, and that's where he got stuck. Cause like that's a whole different ball game with the ground game. Cause first, of course, you a trained professional wrestler, so being on the ground game, that's a whole different thing than what he was used to. So like he was trying to like move you around a little bit, and all you kept doing was like switching it back and forth. And dude was like, and like when I think when TJ blew the horn, the real was like, he was like, this motherfucker, man.
Yeah, man. I knew. I mean, he was such a bigger dude than me, so I knew being on a moving truck and
Right.
standing up with him wasn't going to serve me, do me any favors. So I knew as soon as we got on the ground, you know, my ground game has always been strong, you know, with my amateur wrestling background. So I knew it'll be a little bit more difficult for him to get me off of that truck if we stayed on the ground. And,
Yeah.
you know, once we got to the edge, that's when I tried to, you know, work my magic and took him over at the last minute. But no, he was strong in his own right. Not he extremely extremely strong. And I feel like I've always been the guy talked about in my weight class as somebody who's a lot stronger than they look.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I surprised him with my performance. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That was cool, man. That was a cool moment right there. But sort of going back into the wrestling front, man. Have you ever? I don't think I ever heard you talk about this. Have you heard that that AJ Francis, he wanted you in the original Hit Row? It was, but he actually pitched that, and I think it got approved. But I think around the time, I think that's when you had got you were already gone from WWE, or you had got let go from the company as that like sort of got underway. But he wanted you and Swerve Strickland to be the original Hit Row, and he had pitched it, and I think it got approved, but then you had got let go. But like I think y'all would have made some noise, man. That would have been a nice trio right there. You AJ and Swerve. Like, of course, that was like a whole year out from when the Hero thing came about. But like, I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard that, or did anything ever get back to you, or
No, I never heard it. I mean, I've heard it before after
right,
the
right,
fact,
right.
but you know, while I was there, it wasn't brought up to me at all. But that would have been cool, and it
Yeah,
was cool because I believe we were all there at the same time too. So it was definitely a possibility that it could have happened, I guess. Um, but yeah, it just didn't pan out that way. But I definitely think that it would have been cool. It would have been, you know, they made their own waves in their own right, but it would have been cool to be a part of that and you know add to it whatever it is that I had to add to it.
yeah, that'd have been nice right there. But like speaking of like certain like segments and stuff, I gotta ask you about this, man. It was this one segment. I have no idea if you got any recollection of this. This had to be like 2018 or late 2018 or early 2019. It was a segment with Finn Balor and Alexa Bliss. They was doing like this talk show segment on the ramp. And she had told him, she was like, if you show me your abs, I'll show you mine. And then your music hit. And then they booed you out the building. And then Corey Graves was like, he was like, go away, Leo, go away. Like, you have any recollection of this segment, man? Because like, I remember when it happened, like it was a real funny moment, like comedic type moment. But like I especially consider your main roster run, I felt like we all like on the outside of the company felt like when you got called up, it was about to be like, okay, we about to see him IC title, you know, in that area right there. But like doing some of those segments, like I mean, it was like more of a moment type thing. But like, do you have any recollection from that segment, or just any grandstanding memories from your time on the main roster?
Yeah, I remember. I definitely remember that segment. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
And I was trying not to laugh when I walked out. But no, I remember it being a pretty cool segment and just feeling kind of. I think around that time I started to feel kind of um, like, man, this time period doesn't even feel real. You know, I'm doing a segment with Bobby, and I'm on the same stage with Alexa Bliss, on
Mhm.
the same stage with Finn. It's a big program going on, and I think that was right before I had a match with Finn on Raw. I think we went right to the ring from that segment. So yeah, it was definitely a fun time. It was pretty funny.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But like going circling back around like the 2020, like around that time period, like I know after your time with WWE came to an end, I know you had contemplated stepping away from the ring, but then you made sure to return at the GCW homecoming show. Like talk to me about like how good it felt to receive that great reaction, man, and that welcome back to the indies from the people that was in attendance and the reception you got online.
No, coming back to GCW was amazing. I had a lot of close friends in GCW, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like a lot of people, um, you know, were excited for me to come back in some kind of
Yeah.
capacity. I think it was pretty well known that I wasn't in the best spirits when it came to me being a part of the wrestling industry after just getting let go of WWE. So I feel like it was a special moment, you know, especially with my last run on the independent scene right before I got signed to WWE. I feel like I was on a pretty hot streak with
Yeah.
popping up
You
to
were.
uh, different places all over the world, really, and it felt good being back on the Indies.
And you wanna know it's crazy? Like I think like that exact same year, I remember I was looking at this interview and it was a written interview that New Japan had did with Hiromu Takahashi. And he was asked about people that he wanted to work with that was stateside, and you were the first person he mentioned. And honestly, like from what I remember, I don't think he like really mentioned anybody else or like spoke in depth the way he spoke about you. He was like, "Oh man, Lio Rush is amazing. Guy's real fast," and like all this other stuff. And like I remember I looked at that interview and I had convinced myself that y'all were gonna have a match like at some point after Wrestle Kingdom, because like this was like done like I would say like 2 weeks before Wrestle Kingdom. And then I was like, I had got it in my mind. I was like, it's probably gonna be Lio Rush versus Takahashi at probably like the New Beginning show or something like that. But yeah, it was cool to see, man, that he like sort of acknowledged who you are and knows who you are. And like, I'm pretty sure if he knew now, I'm more than certain that he knows that he still remembers. So I think it'd be cool for you and Takahashi to mix it up one day, especially considering that he threw your name out there in the interview.
No, definitely, and that's something that I still hope can happen in the future with me continuing my time with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's definitely a matchup that I'm looking forward to for sure.
For sure, for sure. But like going back to the music front, Lio, man, like I know this is like a sort of it's a lot the answer, but like sort of talk to me about the growth of you as an artist and the differences in your music style. Like where we at now versus like when you dropped your scenic lullaby symbol, your scenic lullaby single. Like how like talk to me about like just the transition, man, and the growth of Lio Rush as an artist and in this individual from that point to where you are right now.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I was a much different person around that time, and definitely a much different artist. I feel like that
Right.
around that time I wasn't really much of an artist. I I just um, I was figuring it out, and the process was one that was challenging, because with me, I'm always wanting to progress,
Mhm.
and I felt like music was one of those things that one of the first things that I felt like it genuinely took time. It took repetition. It's something that wasn't just going to happen overnight. So put and I also knew the music that I was putting out wasn't the music that I knew I was going to feel comfortable with, forever, because I knew that I was going to get better,
Mhm.
but I wanted to put something out. So yeah, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the journey. Getting to where I am today. Making Scenic Lullaby and putting that out. I never thought that I would be signed to a deal right now.
Mhm.
So it, it's pretty cool to just see where I am, and and hear myself back when I talk about, the music industry and seeing how passionate I am about it now, because I wasn't always this passionate about music, but I feel like, I know this is kind of like a quote that I've been saying to myself, but music was never real to me until it became real.
Mm.
And I feel like my music now is as real as it's ever been, and so present with in my life, and how I provide for my family, and I love what I do, and I'm looking forward to the project being out on the 24th.
That's what's up, man. Look at the growth, man. Y'all can hear it. Big dog Lio Rush now, man. You hear him? Big dog Leo. But like, well, like I really like that sort of stint that you had in MLW. Like I really feel like you and Myron Reed, like y'all just clicked. Like I feel like y'all had a real good understanding of like what each other like to do in the ring, and like where each other like to be, and like sort of like the signature moves that both of you guys do. Like it seemed like you and Myron, like y'all just like really quick. Y'all just really click. Talk to me about sort of your in-ring chemistry with Myron Reed, man, and why it seemed like you two just were on the same page on a consistent basis.
Yeah, Myron was cool. Myron, definitely somebody that I've been a fan of his work. So I'm glad that I had that run with him. Um, and we both make music, and I feel like we
Yep.
both have kids, and we had a lot of things in common. So I'm glad that we were able to work so closely together, um, and with my time in MLW.
Mm. And like I know like around that time, like it was that like that AAA cruiserweight title situation. Like I think I've like seen like Conan speak on it, or like I think you had put out a statement on it, but like what was sort of like the mix up with that whole situation? Because you won the title in MLW programming, and then it's like you didn't win the title. Like what was that whole like misunderstanding right there from the other side?
Yeah, just a misunderstanding. I mean, that definitely is a situation in the past that I'm not really interested in talking about.
Okay,
But
okay, cool.
yeah, just a mix up that happens. It
Mhm.
happens in the wrestling world, and unfortunately, I was just a part of one of them. So yeah.
For sure. As we put a bow on the Leo, once you get clear, do you think it's like bound to happen that we get Leo versus Blake Christian part 5? You think it's bound to happen?
No, for sure. It definitely feels like there's still something there with me and Blake. I didn't get tombstoned on my head outside the ring just to just to let it slide. So yeah, we're gonna have to run that back.
There it is. Leo, final plug, man, before we get out of here. Let people know where they can get the EP. Get your final plugs in, and yeah, we're gonna make sure that I'll link it in the description of this video. Make sure we got the link going when it drops.
Definitely. Not Found 2 out on June 24th. 5 tracks. Absolutely cannot wait for it to come out. If you want to listen to it or download or stream it, you can go to my website at leorush.com, where you can find my music on all of my different streaming platforms, as well as my social media accounts. If you want to follow me for any updates on what I have going on with possible shows in the future, interviews, anything related to the project itself, go to leorush.com. And yeah, Not Found 2, June 24th. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited, and continue to follow me on this journey.
There you go. There you go. Go support the man. You heard him, June 24th. Just go get it. Go copy it. It's that simple. It's that simple, man. But
Yes.
I'm Andrew Thompson at Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Signing off with Lio Rush. We are out. Peace.